Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most important initiatives launched by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is Hayat Karima, or Decent Life, which actually aims to create a vital shift in the lives of citizens, providing certain services for citizens in various sectors and across Egypt. Minister of Local Development Mahmoud Sha'rawi confirmed that the Decent Life initiative is under development in the Egyptian countryside within the framework of projects over a period of 3 years starting from the current fiscal year. Actually, Decent Life initiative aims to change the face of the countryside and villages and upgrade the standards of the citizens in these areas and improve the quality of lives of 58 million citizens from Egyptian villages in various services and vital fields. In order to know more about the Decent Life initiative, we're very much honored to have with us here in the studio Dr. Sahar Nazmi, Professor of Business Management. Good morning to you, Dr. Sahar.
Good morning.
Now, can you talk to us about the state's projects that led to the countryside development, especially the Egyptian countryside and Hayat Karima, or Decent Life in particular?
You mentioned 58 million citizens living in the countryside, that they have never been granted any decent services. They were always obliged to travel to Cairo or to Alexandria, to urban areas, in order to get the minimum decent quality of services in terms of health, education, and even in living standards. Coming up with such a great initiative, this is the first time to happen in our modern history. No one has even looked into or considered the standard of living of those people, although they represent half of the population. Imagine half of your population are not getting the proper and sufficient services in day-to-day life, the basics in terms of water, sanitation, sewage, education, health, communications, transportation. Coming up with such an initiative and integrating it into the 2030 strategy of the government or the country of Egypt, it means a lot. It means we have a leader that is really worried and cares for his citizens.
Indeed.
I admire the effort and I admire the initiative with all its perspectives and the lookout of the outcome of improving the quality of citizens in the countryside.
Okay. Dr. Sahar, what is the extent of the progress of rural development project at the level of infrastructure in Egyptian villages? Because you just mentioned water, electricity, sanitation.
Yes. The standard of living currently is really very poor. It's really under normal or standard living status in terms of water and sewage, sanitation, hygiene. Some of these people, they just escape living in this cruel circumstances to Cairo or to Alexandria, which adds pressure to the main cities.
Of course, yes.
Now, if you pave the roads, provide transportation, provide communication, provide transportation facilities.
Especially to the new areas, because now we are connecting the whole country with even not only modern carriages of trains, but also the monorail connecting Alamein, New Alamein to El Galala and so on.
Passing by all these villages while you are on the monorail in this status is really very devastating. It's not a good image or status for the Egyptian economy, for the Egyptian country as well. And I think this is a brilliant move to upgrade the standard of living in the countryside. And again, has never happened in Egyptian history, in the modern Egyptian history, for years.
Yes. One of the aspects also of the project is providing proper housing units for citizens. So how do you see the housing initiative for all Egyptians and to establish the fourth generation of cities in the Sustainable Development Goals of, or the SDGs of 2030?
Housing is one of the major necessities of human beings. It provides security, it provides welfare. Owning a house for Egyptian, a decent house, well-built house with good conditions, will create a difference. Building houses in the countryside has been based on individual efforts without any system or any rules. Now, getting the country, the management of the country involved, or the administrative of the country involved in housing in the countryside, it will create a better look, a better life, a more secured feelings among citizens in the countryside. The fourth generation, I'm not so optimistic today about fourth generation cities in the countryside. All I need is that to have access to communication, to internet. I'm not really very much optimistic about having, or really eager for them to have the fourth generation where everything is digitalized. This will keep it for a while until they get used to getting the proper living standard, proper water, proper hygiene.
Gradual change.
Gradually. And it will come eventually.
Of course, to cope with the whole world, of
Exactly.
course. Yes. Dr. Sahar, Minister of Local Development Mahmoud Sha'rawi explained that the first presidential initiative, Decent Life, was established in 375 rural communities in different governorates and 277 million Egyptian pounds in loans and professional training. So part of the initiative is also providing loans and professional training. How do you see that, since you are Professor of Business Management?
It's very important. You develop the country by developing your human capital. It's not enough that you develop into nice buildings, fancy buildings and nice streets. The human capital is much more important. Those people who will make the real difference, those people who will take the country from this phase to another phase, if they are equipped, well-trained, skilled to do it.
Of course.
They will cope with the change that's happening globally and impacting our societies by default.
Of course.
So training is very important.
And investing in the human resources.
Absolutely.
Human capital.
Yes.
Decent Life Initiative covers various dimensions, as you kindly mentioned, and actually one of those dimensions is developing education, providing sports facilities for youth and sports training centers. How do you see this also?
Very much acceptable, very much normal, very much. Yes, we need. Yes,
do you think it's
education.
an integrated
package? It's a package. It's a package that is caring for building those people from the inside and the outside, from the way they look, from the way they live, and even from the way they think. So education will impact the thinking process of those people, instead of immigration and quitting their countries and looking for other places to get jobs. If they get the proper education, they get the proper preparation for the work, I'm definitely, and I'm quite confident that they will stick to their country, they will keep building it, and they will stay in it here, which will impact the sustainable development plan of the 2030 presidential strategy.
Yes, definitely. Well, since it is a comprehensive initiative, as we mentioned, it also pays special attention to people with special needs.
Yeah.
So it also targets educating people with special needs, providing facilities for them. Again, part of the 2030 development or sustainable development goals. How do you see that?
I see it very human. Those people has never got the right and the proper services and support from the community, from their families, from their networks, from the government. Now looking into them within the framework of Decent Life initiative, this is absolutely very human and very touching.
Yes.
However, I would like to mention that guys, you have a lot on your table. Be careful. Focus, focus, focus. Start with priorities and try to come up with solutions that give immediate results and rewards.
But solutions come up as problems start to emerge or challenges
Yes,
start to
there is a lot
appear.
of challenges
But again,
there.
yes, you're right, because you need to be prepared ahead.
Exactly. They have so much on their table to look into it. And I know that there are 15 ministries are involved. I know the private sector is there. I know that international entities, the UN and loan givers are there
The
to
social,
support.
the civil society as
The
well.
civil society is also involved. There is a lot of entities with weight and balanced thinking are there, with financial support are there, with experiences.
political will,
and definitely.
definitely.
This is the flagship that we
Yes.
have. It's the political will, first of all, that initiated all these people to move towards the same direction.
Exactly.
So what I like to mention, focusing on priorities will help get definitely better results.
Definitely. Now, Dr. Sahar, give us your insight about how Decent Life Initiative actually contributes to providing job opportunities, especially for the youth.
By default, you put good education, you make the training, you give them all the resources to be an efficient member of the community. That will create a job, provided that investment is running there like they have never invested in Egypt before. I know a lot of project is moving towards the country village to introduce new industries, to upgrade existing local industries there. Look at this. This will create a massive work opportunities for the people living there, instead of, again, traveling and coming all the distance away in the morning to Cairo for
Or illegal migration.
or
people
illegal
who, yes.
immigration. That was a disaster that I think it's vanishing. It's vanishing away.
Now, what is your opinion regarding the importance of the involvement of citizens in the projects? Because you just mentioned that ministries are working in the project, the civil society, the private sector, but what is unique about the initiative or the project is that the citizens themselves are being involved in it to make it work. How do you see that?
I see it very important because we, in business, we try to create among employees the term of ownership. You work for XYZ. You work for the government, you work for the private sector, you work for Mr. X or Mrs. X. It's your job. It's an ownership. It's not you're working for somebody else's pocket. First, you get your salary paid before the owner gets his profits. If you look at the mechanism of any company, before the owner gets his profit, he pays salaries.
Okay, yes.
Paying the salary first, that means that you as an employee have to have a full dedication to that person who is providing the proper resources to make your work successful.
Exactly. Yes. Now, how important is the participation of women? Now, women play a special role in it when it comes to development, and this has been highlighted by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi himself,
Yes.
because he pointed out the role of women not only when it comes to political participation, but also economic,
And
social, and he highlighted also their role in development, in the
Yes.
development process. So if we're talking about women in sustainable development in small and medium projects, how do you see that?
Who can forget the driver of all of these things happening in this country? Who can forget women, the 50% of your population capacity, with emotional, logical, and mindset set to do something better for their country, for the sake and welfare of their children. She is the one behind energizing
Yes.
all the dreams of our management coming true.
I like the word energizing.
Yes, she is. She is. Who can forget her role? She is behind the man. She is behind the new generation. She is the one who looks after their education, nutrition, their life, having a quality life. She even works hard to get extra income, to provide better life standard for the family. Who can forget her role? She is a pillar in the sustainable development plan, supported by our leader.
That's what I wanted to say now, because yes, this has been going on for years, but the recognition now is even more underscored by the state itself, by the president himself, underlying the role of women in the development process here
Sure.
in Egypt, that they are, as you mentioned, energizing the whole
Exactly.
process, and playing a major role in this process.
She doesn't take things for granted. She is a challenge maker. She is a challenge doer. She wants to do it. She doesn't care whether she will succeed or not, but she has to do it in order to get things done. She is on the move all the way.
Yes. Actually, I was making a report about women in China and the role in development.
Yes.
China is one of the world's greatest economic powers,
Yes.
and moving very swiftly. And the report was actually about the role of women in this. Surprisingly, the state does not give enough empowerment to women as the Egyptian state does, because according to the report, the single women between the ages of 24 to 35 are the ones playing that role. But here in Egypt, we're very proud that women, starting a very early age up to perhaps the age of 80 or 90,
Yes.
they are still playing a role by even encouraging their families, encouraging their sons and daughters
Yes.
to be more effective in
Absolutely.
in the process.
Anyway, good luck for China without women, but they are already doing well.
Yes, they started to pay attention to that now.
Lately, okay.
Yes. I'd like to thank you very much, Dr.
you.
Sahar Nazmi, Professor of Business Management. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. This segment is all the time that we have for, but more is yet to come on this edition of The Breakfast Show, so stay with us.